Okay, we are live on YouTube.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the Insurance Committee to order. It is 4:07 p.m. And then roll call. Jeff Bazzo.
Present.
Eric Diamond.
Just made it.
Perfect. Mike Dixon.
Present.
Rachel Drake is absent.
Present.
Oh, you are present?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. So Selena LaRue Hatch. Absent. Diane Lyon. Absent. Tony McMillan.
Present.
Tony Moresco.
Present.
Don Miller is absent. Robert Munson present. And Gordon Salas.
I just checked in.
Okay. Okay. Item number 1.03, public comment. Do I read the whole piece or? Okay. Due to the current state of emergency declared by the governor, members of the public wishing to make public comment about an item on an agenda must submit their comments via email to the insurance committee at washoschools.net. Any public comments received will be forwarded to the group insurance committee for consideration, consistent with the emergency provisions noted above. And I don't believe we had any public comment. I didn't receive any.
No.
Item 1.04, action to adopt an agenda. Items on this agenda may be taken out of order. The public body may combine two or more agenda items for consideration, and any public body may remove an item from the agenda or delay discussion relating to an item at any time. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I, Tony Moresco, move to adopt the agenda.
Do we have a second?
Jeff
This
Balzo
is
will
Rachel
second.
Drake. I will second that.
Okay, it was moved by Tony Moresco and seconded by Rachel Drake and Jeff Basso that we adopt the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Okay, so we've adopted the agenda for the meeting. Item number 2, items for presentation, discussion, and possible action. Item 2.01 is the discussion of the Washoe County School District Group Insurance Internal Service Fund as of September 2020. It is for presentation and discussion only.
Before we turn it over to Rob Luna, Robert, I would just like to acknowledge that Diane Lyon is now present as well.
Thank you for letting me know. I'll change it.
Good afternoon, everybody. For the record, I'm Rob Luna, the controller in the business office. Just a logistic item first. So you're going to be running the screen for me, right, Veronica? I don't need to, I'm not going to take over the screen.
No, I'll be, just when you let me know when you want me to scroll down to the next page.
Sure thing. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. We're going over the Q1 financial statements. So fiscal year, we're comparing fiscal year 20 September, as of September 30th to, I'm sorry, fiscal year 21 already, to the prior fiscal year. The first item that we always go through is the balance sheet. And we're just kind of looking for, items of interest. The first item there, the very first line, cash and investments, you'll notice that as of now, the quarter that just ended, we're at 38 million for cash and investments, whereas last year we were just a little, about 28.5 million. So we've had an increase in cash and investments of almost 9.6 million. Now, we're going to see this repeated in other areas because obviously the reason that cash is going up is tied in with, our fund balance going up, our net position, which is directly tied into expenses ending out the year much lower than in the previous year. So that's our first really noticeable item, is that our cash and investments have increased quite dramatically. We can go ahead and scroll down a bit to about right there is fine. In our liabilities, most everything that appears on the balance sheets that is significant is the IBNR, which you'll notice in the non-current liabilities. And for anybody who may be new or not familiar, just real quick, IBNR means it's an insurance term for incurred but not yet reported. So in other words, future claims. So the IBNR amounts, they're an actuarial estimate of amounts owed by the insurer for pending claims that have not yet been reported. And I'm just going to go to our bottom line there. Total non-current liabilities, we are down 1 million year over year. So that's good. That's a positive effect on our financials. We can go ahead and scroll down a little bit more to, that's our bottom there. So net position, and this is where we see, the tie-in with cash and investments. Our net position is up. Our total net position is up just over 10 million from September 19 to September 20. And again, when we have money, when we have that cash on hand, we invest it. So that's why, those two are tied in. I know in the last meeting, Lloyd went into detail over, some of the factors that happened. So I don't think it'd be worth me trying to, repeat and stumble over that. If anybody wanted to, before we segue into revenue and expenses, does anybody have any questions regarding the balance sheet? I'll give just a moment here.
I was just going to say that I know Lloyd talked about that we had a lot fewer high end claims, catastrophic claims. So I'm assuming that that's probably what's continuing here to keep that down, because that's what's really been hitting the insurance fund the last few years, is the number of large claims.
I'll defer that to Jackie or Lloyd if.
Yeah, I was just going to add, I think, Robert, I think you're right. Large claims are down, but I think also the utilization for medical services is down. And we have seen that for the last several months. I think that's contributed by COVID, and not knowing what's going to happen in the months to come. So that's a little bit concerning. And it's also concerning if we have members who are putting off getting those preventative screenings done, and hopefully it doesn't cause someone to find out a diagnosis later rather than sooner.
Would you like me to chime in on that, Jackie?
Absolutely.
Everything stated is correct. I just want to add a couple of notes to the conversation. And one of the things that I don't know if Jackie has mentioned yet or not, that we don't have a September report ready to share with the committee. So we're not at a point to give you full details on what's going on, but I do have some preliminary information that September was a pretty high claim month, not just, surprisingly, not just for the school district, but for many of our clients. Not quite sure what's going on there. I think, but we have a lot of our clients that had a spike in costs in September, and it looks like your plan experienced that as well, with a number of new large claims hitting the radar. So that is something that is, I wouldn't put it in the concerning category, especially since the health fund has done has become so healthy over the last few months. But it is something that I think we're going to have some different conversations as we do see the September report. The other piece of that is, on an anecdotal note, the stop loss market, where, as you know, the district buys insurance to protect the plan against the very large claims. We are seeing that market harden up significantly, and prices are going up quite significantly for our clients for January 1 and beyond. We don't have the school district's numbers at this point squared away, but we are anticipating a sizable increase in those costs for all plans, and the district, I think, will follow into that as well. So just a couple of little side notes, not to take any thunder out of Rob's great report for how good the health fund's doing, because it is, and I don't want to take away from that, but I just want to temper it maybe a little bit with some of the realities we are seeing in the market.
Oh, thank you both. Really appreciate the clarification. I think we can go ahead and go to the next page now, which is now we're getting into our operating revenues and expenses, which is the majority of these reports. This one's going to be kind of hard to, it's a little awkward just because of the switch from Hometown Health to Anthem. Obviously, last year at this time, Anthem did not exist for us. And if we could scroll down just a little bit. Yeah, maybe just to where we get to the total HTH revenue. Okay, so there, perfect. So all of the items that just got out of the screen there, that was the Hometown Health numbers for the prior year. So we were at, the revenue that came in was 16.6, whereas the Anthem numbers, total operating revenues on the Anthem plan are over there 17.5 million. Not too big of a difference. It's less than $1 million comparing the two plans. But it is more revenue, and I believe that's tied into just the fact that the rates, we do changes with insurance on a calendar year basis. Keep in mind, with everything that we're talking about today, the district's financials, again, this repetitive, but never hurts to reinforce, the district's financials are on a state fiscal year. So July is the start of the year, June is the end of the year. But of course, for insurance, we run things on calendar year, January, December. So anyway, operating revenues in total up about 1.2 million year over year. We can go ahead and continue to the next page. Okay, so now on the operating expenses, again, this is going to look the same awkwardness, which we'll be experiencing this through December. And then, once we get into January's financials, then we'll be comparing Anthem this year to Anthem last year, and everything will be in alignment rather than this, kind of catty-cornered. So what we're seeing there are our hometown health, and of course, at the top there, and of course, everything's gone way down. We have some, because we're just closing out some old items. We in fact have some credits that we ended with hometown health for the quarter. If we want to scroll down a little bit more so that we can see the Anthem totals, we're almost there. Yeah, there we go. That's good enough. To total medical services. So this quarter, we've spent 10.4 million on medical services versus 11.9, a difference of about 1.5 million less. In addition to things that have already been mentioned, deferral or delay of services for the pandemic and such, and switching, getting people to switch over to more cost-effective plans. I believe that's the reason for our medical services decreasing by 1.5 million. In our other categories that starts with prescription drugs and then ends down there with miscellaneous, I'm just going to point out 3 that are kind of the large ones there. Stop loss premium, we have a difference there of basically $2 million. And that looks really awkward. In the prior year, there's a credit of 1.5 million. I did look that up, and we actually did receive a check last year for $2 million. It was specific to one individual. So like Lloyd said earlier, the stop loss, those things can be huge. They can, by definition, they can be about catastrophic or unpredictable events. And yeah, we truly did get a check for $2 million at this time last year, which kind of skews, it makes up really the majority of the difference between the comparison year over year. The administrative fees, so those are basically reimbursements for our claims. Those are up. It's just the hometown health and the Anthem administrative fees. Those are up almost $1,927,000. And then our benefits are up $775,000. That's just an accounting, a change in an accounting method with how we pay our OPEB costs to the Public Employers Retirement System of Nevada. So that's not really, it's truly just an accounting change. It's not nothing has changed as far as the amounts year over year. And I think if we want to just scroll up to the bottom of the page just a touch. So that kind of shows it. And here, what we're doing on this worksheet is we're taking the revenues on the last worksheet, the expenses on this worksheet, and putting in the net position at the start of the year and what's changed since then. So our net position has increased. The change in net position, we've gone up 1.3 million for the quarter. So ending fiscal year 20, as of June 30th at 28.9 million. Now the net position is at 30.2 million, as we saw on the balance sheet. And I'll go ahead and pause here just in case anybody has any questions or wants to discuss any items. Okay. We can go ahead and go to the next page. Oh, that's actually our miscellaneous costs. They make up such a tiny portion, and that 385,000. It's actually it's nothing. It's a data entry item that's going to go away. So our miscellaneous costs are absolutely zero, and that will get squared away. So we can go to the next page. All right. Now what we start to get, the next 3 pages, 3 or 4 pages are somewhat, it's just a different way of looking at things. In the first few slides, few pages, we had year-to-date revenues for September of 20 compared to September of 19. Now on these pages, we have the same, the year-to-date is still, it's the exact same numbers that were on the September 20. Those are the exact same numbers. And just the month of September is put here as an individual month. In some cases, it can be useful, like if the amount is $10 million and 9 million of it is all in one month, that's worth a conversation. But you'll see as we go ahead and scroll through these that most of them are very comparable, about a third or right around there. You can go ahead and scroll up the page or down the page. So that's where our revenues. Now the next page, we'll get into expenses. Same idea here. I think we can go ahead and stop there. And yeah, that total renowned medical credit of 55,000, that's what we saw on the year to date. And then same for the Anthem numbers. If you want to go ahead and scroll through up through this. And maybe stop there. Okay, perfect. So, and those are the year-to-date numbers where we kind of just talked about stop loss, admin fees, and benefits. And then, of course, our net position of 30.2 million. Can go ahead and go to the next page. All right. Now, for those of you I think most of you have been through these, these are just different ways of looking. These worksheets, it's the same items we've looked at, except this one itemizes July and August. So as we get to going with this one, when we're looking at this at the end of March, we're going to see all those 9 months, all the 8 months behind it. So it can be useful for, again, if there's something that sticks out, it's like, when did that happen? We weren't expecting anything there, but where did that, 9 million come from or something? It's really nice to be able to see it here in this format. If you want to go ahead and scroll to the next page. So that was revenues. Here are our expenses. Year to date, I'm sorry, itemized by month, year to date. Maybe go ahead and keep scrolling. And then the next page, this is just a chart. It's a snapshot that compares our expense history. So you kind of see there on the far right, it shows that, the same numbers. For September, we spent almost 6 million, 5.89 million. And then if you want to just show the chart real quick towards the bottom, that just kind of, for visual, for visual folks. So we can go ahead and keep scrolling down. Next page. Again, this is just, go ahead and show the chart. Just for visual people, you've heard me repeat now a few times, our net position right now is 30.2 million. So we can see it there, and it's kind of, you can actually see how that's gone in the prior year, how that line just kind of took off. In some of the other years, the data points are close to each other, but you can just really see in especially March, April, and May of last year, how you know, it just kind of separated as our expenses went way down. So again, just for the visual folks, can go ahead and scroll to the next page. And now we're shifting to out of the health insurance fund and into the wellness fund. These last two pages are how for the district's finances on the wellness fund. Cash and investments, kind of a repeat of what happened, what we saw in the much larger health insurance fund. Cash and investments is increased year over year. Here it's by 160,000, which very small dollar wise, but actually a large percent, 27% increase. And net position is also increased by 137,000 or 23%. And, you know, same idea as net position increases, we invest that money. So those are related. We can go ahead and go to our last page. And our revenues are fairly stable, not too, well, down about 13%. Our expenditures, the item that is significant here is supplies. So our expenses for supplies are down because of some of the events being canceled or delayed or deferred due to the pandemic, probably canceled. For example, like in prior years, we've had the women's screening events, men's screening events, and the only significant event we had this year were the immunization clinics. So, you know, that's why a lot of our supplies, well, our supplies are down 55,000. That makes for a lot of the savings, which is why our net position, part of the reason our net position is going up. And with that, that's the end of my presentation. Again, if there's any questions, happy to entertain those now about any items here. Or else you can move on to the next agenda item at your convenience.
Robert Munson for the record. I just wanted to say that for new members on the committee, when we look at the unrestricted net position it's over 4 years that we're looking, or 5 years. This used to be 10 years. So if you look at it, you go, oh my God, we're way up at 30 million from, you know, 8, 9, 4 million and whatever. What it doesn't show is that if you go back further, 7 or 8 years, we were in the 28, 30 million back then. This used to show a 10-year range. We've been down through the recession and then the insurance holidays and everything else. And so we're now starting to build that up to a more, I think, comfortable level of where it should be, if I want to say that.
Yeah, I think, Robert, you bring up a good point just for the new committee members. I remember at one point the fund did have a balance of like 38 million. And then we were down to like 1 or 2 million. So, and because of the transfers from the OPEB trust account, that helped with the fund balance. So
sustained us.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and having a fund balance of where we are, that's actually, you know, it's not unheard of, especially for, you know, by its nature, insurance. I don't know if volatile is the right word, but it's unpredictable. You know, just like I pointed out the example of the stop loss, there was a $2 million one-time credit. There's just, the dollars are so large, and there's some, yes, we can predict and estimate a lot, but you know, there's a lot of it that we can. So it is prudent to have a good, healthy fund balance.
And as just another reminder to the committee, a $38 million fund balance does sound like a lot, but we traditionally spend $70+ million a year.
Yeah. Exactly.
Supervisor answered, and I told him I answered when I didn't have.
Is there a target or a window for the fund balance that the insurance committee has set?
I don't know that there's a target that we've set, but isn't there a requirement that we're supposed to have or try to have a certain amount? It's like so many months built up.
I think in the past we have tried to shoot to have at least 3 months worth of expenses to have a fund balance at least at that amount.
Yeah, as memory serves, I believe that's what we shoot for.
And just for some history, when I first came on this committee, it was up in the 37, 38 million. But it didn't take long for a couple of bad years and a recession for us to drop down,
Right.
So it's, prudent to have I think people coming onto this go, oh my God, we've tripled the insurance fund. We should be doing cuts. And it's like, no, it's because we were in such desperate. That's why I kind of wanted to point out that, this used to be a 10-year. There was a time when it was in negative numbers and the district was funding it. So just to get through. So, it's good to see that it's starting to build up to a healthy fund again.
Yes.
Okay. There's no questions. We'll move on.
All righty. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Item 2.02, we're going to remove. That's the LP insurance presentation. They're not ready to give that yet, so we're going to remove that from the agenda. We'll move down to 2.03, presentation and discussion of the Washoe County School District Group Insurance Hometown Health Claims Activity and Turnaround Reports as of September 2020. And again, this is presentation and discussion only.
Hi, good afternoon. Jose Sandoval from Hometown Health for the record. So I will be talking to the claims turnaround time, and specifically I want to draw your attention to the month of September. There was 169 claims paid in the month of September, and then if we go down to the claims paid within 30 days, it's 97%, which the goal and commitment is 95%. So we've paid above the 95% goal. And on this, again, I just want to mention that these are the runout claims that we're processing for Washoe County School District for members that went to doctors and providers prior to the transition. So over the next couple of months, and you can see in the previous months, the number of claims are decreasing month over month. And then the rest is just broken out by the different plans. All of the claims now that are coming in are for the PPO medical plan. There's very little to no claims coming in on the dental or the other plans. Then just the rest of the pages 2 and 3 is just the breakdown for each plan. And as I mentioned, there's no claims coming in those areas except for the medical. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Jose. Are there any questions for Jose? Okay, if not, we'll move on to, thank you, Jose.
Thank you.
We'll move on to 2.04, presentation and discussion of the Washoe County School District Group Insurance Anthem Claims Activity and Turnaround Reports as of September 2020 for presentation and discussion only.
Hi, Pam Davidson, Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield for the record. This sheet doesn't have the July. If you can scroll down and see if it's cut off in August, September. It's on the following pages. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go over September claims. So we've had, on September, we've had 12,745 claims processed. and 92.62% of those were processed in the first 14 days. And we had 99.50% processed within the first 30 days. Out of those claims, there were 711 pending at that particular time. RX claims are all processed at point of service, and that was 7,414 claims processed in the month of September. Below those two columns, if you scroll down, will be your breakout between your PPO and your HSA plans. It looks like I can see it as well, but I'm going to read it off mine because you guys don't see the columns A and B on this particular format that it's in there. Of those total claims that were processed, 11,854 of them came from the PPO plan, and 891 of them came from the HSA plan. If you can want to scroll down a little bit more, I believe we go into the dental. The October one that you see on here is not a full month. Those are just because this report is pulled at a particular time and day. So next month we'll report on the full month of October. I think you need to scroll down a little bit further to get to the dental. Okay, so here's your dental claims. You have in the month of September 1,616 claims that have come through and were processed within the first 14 days. That's 99.83%. You had 3 of those claims actually processed within the first 30 days. And then the rest were all complete. Does anyone have any questions?
I don't have any questions. Thank you, Pamela. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to 2.05, presentation and discussion of the Washoe County School District Group Insurance Wellness Program report to cover the current events and programs, health assessment, competition deadline, drive-up immunizations, healthy habit change, and fall into step challenge as of September 2020 for presentation and discussion only.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Janelle Dye, Washoe County School District Wellness Coordinator for the record. And we are taking a look at our October 2020 wellness report. And the first thing we have are our recap items. We have our Virgin Pulse mobile app drawing. So we did a drawing in September for anyone who downloaded the mobile app. We're trying to get more members to do that. So we had 2 drawings, just like we did for the August push for the mobile app. And our winners each got a $50 Amazon gift card for their prize. We will have another drawing for those who download the app, the mobile app for October, in October. And so we will draw the winners in early November and announce that. Same prize, $50 gift cards. And just an update. So in August with the push with the mobile app, we had 144 members download the app. So those are new downloads. And that was a good number. It's not a ton, but in September we had 343. So I'm hoping that we see even more in October. So we have a total now of 2,522 members using or that have downloaded the mobile app. And we started the program year with 2,035. So we do see an increase there. So that's exciting. Also a recap, we had a healthy habit challenge that ran in September, and it was the fruit is sweet. So that's the challenge that's 1 week in length. So a short challenge, just trying to get people to focus on one small habit. We had 476 participants, and of those 386 completed the challenge. So completed means that they marked yes 5 out of the 7 days. And then the next thing we have are our current events, programs, and challenges, an update on our health assessment completion. So we have comparison of September and then October. So we have 21.9% complete September 14th. And then as of October 12th, we have 34.9%. And that it will just continue to climb as we approach the deadline of December 1st. So that percentage will go up quite a bit, I predict. The drive-up immunizations are going well. We have updates on the participation. So our October 1st, we have the numbers there, total of 156, and then we have the breakdown of the different types of immunizations that were administered. And then McQueen, so that was the second larger Saturday event. We had 353 total, and then you can see the breakdown there. And then we had another one at McQueen the 17th. And I do have the total for that, 279. And then we had another event on the 20th at Inspire, and we did 166 total. And so one thing that is very different this year is that the Shingrix, the shingles vaccine, they have a supply, which is great because it's been short the last 2 years. So we've been seeing a lot of the Shingrix vaccines being administered. And I think a lot of people are happy about that. So that's positive. We have some remaining dates, 2 more. So we have one on the 14th of November. The 4th of November, and then the 7th of November. And the 7th is at Spanish Springs High School. So we are going to a different area, and that's a Saturday event. So hopefully we see a lot of folks in that different area of town. Our Fall into Fitness Step Challenge is currently going on right now. We have 866 participants that are involved in that challenge, and that's a great number. It's increased from our step challenge we did last fall. And the winners for that, so the different categories that we have, so individual and team prizes, those will all be announced mid-November once we can get everything wrapped up. And then this last item on here, I just wanted to review the wellness program WISE. So some of the three of the top purposes that the wellness program serves. And just for us all to have as a review, as we continue to look at the wellness program over the program year, the 2020-2021 program year. So just for all of us to keep in mind as we're sort of looking at the program, these three major reasons why the program exists. So the first one is it's an employee benefit. So it's a way for Washoe County School District to show the employees and the retirees that we care about their well-being. So ideally, a worksite wellness program is viewed as a perk, so a job perk rather than like a burden. And so, really just trying to remind everybody that is, it's a positive thing, something that we get to use as employees. So it is an actual employee benefit. The next one is, it's a preventive healthcare initiative. So the program, through the challenges and through the education and through everything that we do with the program, it's all to encourage employees, retirees, and their spouses to invest the time, money, and energy into their health prior to having a significant health event. So those catastrophic events that we see come through, those huge claims. So really, taking the time and doing things before something like that is happening. So that's really what the wellness program is trying to promote. So a lot of time people will think of healthcare as something going wrong and then they have to fix it, where preventive healthcare is doing something before it goes wrong. So examples are visiting with your PCP on a regular basis for the well visits, leading a healthy lifestyle, and then also managing stress. So those are just some examples there that the program can sort of help encourage folks to do. And then the last one, of course, is, the healthier we are as a population, then the healthier the insurance fund will hopefully remain. So these are, some of the top 3 things about our wellness program. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Janelle? I had several people ask me if our wellness program is planning or thinking about or working with the health department on if a vaccine becomes available, if they're going to do drive-through vaccines or anything like that for COVID. And I know that that's a much bigger than Washoe County School District question, but I'm wondering if you guys have been in communication with anyone about that or thought about that.
I have not been in communication, and I think once that comes along, then I'll be working with Jackie to sort of figure out, what the options even are and what that would look like. So no talk yet, but once it comes, I'm sure Jackie and I will be having conversations.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Janelle. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And moving on to item 2.06, it's the presentation and discussion of the Washoe County School District Virgin Pulse Annual Report for district population, review of annual program data, including engagement, health assessment, biometric screening data, and as it relates to the number of members who completed their health assessment and wellness screenings in 2019. Again, it's for presentation and discussion only.
Great, thank you very much. And thank you, Janelle, for your notes there on the why behind our well-being program. My name is Shane Callahan. I'm the Client Success Manager for the Virgin Pulse and Washoe County School District relationship, for the record. So I'm here today to walk us through what we can see on our screen here, September 2019 through July 2020, and some of the standard reporting that we have to offer our clients and Washoe County in particular. I've been working very closely with Janelle for the last over a year now on your program, and I'm excited to show you some of the details of this previous year. So we can move on. Little introduction slide there. Again, my name is Shane. So here we are. To start out, I also want to mention that as I walk through these slides, there may be some opportunities for context to be added in. So I welcome Jackie or Janelle to jump in if there's any opportunity you think it would be helpful to do so. But with that said, I'm just going to jump into some of our program design key components for this previous program year. So number one, we had employees, spouses, and retirees included on the program. We had a points and levels, we call it a game, earning rewards throughout the program year for participating in wellness-related actions. The maximum rewards per person for this previous program year that we just finished was $50. Also, just a quick call out here that we've upped that number to $60 for the current program year that's now underway. Number four, health assessment completion was able to yield that monthly wellness discount, which I know is traditionally a part of the Washoe program. And then lastly, a note here, the program design as we built it was geared towards reaching the traditional Washoe County School District goals and objectives for wellness. Really trying to earn trust of your eligible members, and also making sure they know it's an easy to use and accessible platform for lifestyle and behavior change for their well-being. Perfect, and I also, before we jump into some of the data, I want to call out some highlights from this program here. Number one, launched the Virgin Pulse program in September 2019. Again, included employees, spouses, and retirees. Also, we launched both a fall and a spring steps challenge, both of which we had some success, in addition to a holiday habit challenge during the Thanksgiving Christmas season. Fourth, here I want to mention that we integrated various partners into the platform so that we have a one-stop shop for benefits navigation. So for example, we had Grand Rounds, Anthem, etc. We'll get deeper into that later on. Number 5, I want to call out how we began claims integration as part of our outcomes-driven strategy. And then lastly, I want to call out how we launched a quarterly program design in August of 2020. So the goal of that being some more sustained engagement throughout the program year. So we can chat more about that later as well. Perfect. So here, what I have to show you is what we call an executive dashboard. So I'm just going to walk through some of these modules. It's really meant to give us a high-level overview of your wellness program. So in this previous program year, we observed 84% enrollment in the program of your eligible population. We also observed 34% engagement with the platform. So we measure engagement as any touch point with the platform, engaging in an activity and then firing off what we call a trigger in our software. So when we say 34% monthly program engagement, we mean within a given month of the program, 34% of the members were coming back to visit us on average. Incentives, we had 10% of your population of your members earning an incentive this program year. We have a social component of the platform where you can have social connections, which is really helpful for the challenge environment and the social, you're not solo on your well-being journey. So this 14% calls out the percentage of your members with at least one social connection on the platform. External programs, 23% of your members are clicking to external programs. So as I mentioned earlier, we have your benefits and other programs and vendors integrated into Virgin Pulse for that one-stop shop experience. We observed 23% of your members clicking out to those benefits programs from our platform. Another note is we'll be diving a bit deeper into some of these items here as the presentation goes on, but I welcome any questions. But lastly, I do want to finish with challenges. So we had, in our most recent corporate challenge, 9% enrollment. And Janelle had mentioned how we're currently in the Fall into Fitness Challenge. We had a slight uptick there, so those stats will be available in our next meeting. And we can move along. Perfect, so a little bit of a deeper dive here into enrollment, some helpful visuals. So like I said, 84% of your eligibles are enrolled in Virgin Pulse, and what we have here is a gender and age profile analysis. So what this number tells us, for example, if we look at gender, of your eligible female population, 86% are enrolled. Same rule applied to the male population. Of your eligible males, 80% are enrolled. And then the same rule can be applied to your age profile analysis here as well, looking at different age segments from below 30 years old to over 60 years old. And this, the chart on the bottom of our slide here just shows us a bit of a month-over-month outlook and trend of enrollment over time. Clearly, we can see how enrollment really does jump up once we come up on that health assessment completion deadline for that wellness discount. And then the last note I want to mention here is that we're observing 11% of a lower employee attrition rate for those members who are utilizing the Virgin Pulse platform. Another couple of helpful visuals for enrollment here, we can offer you some reporting on locations. So we have your best 5 and lower 5 performing locations as of the time this report was pulled. So you can see your best 5, all of them have 100% enrollment because you have several, fairly smaller locations that have everyone enrolled. So each of them have 100%. And then when we have some of the larger locations, for example, like as we have retirees and spouses designated, we'll see some lower enrollment trends there. And essentially, this just helps us inform where we can close some gaps in terms of enrollment specifically. Here's a deeper dive into that engagement number that I mentioned here. 34% was the number I called out on average earlier. So first off, on the center of our screen, we have a month-over-month look at engagement throughout the program year. We can see that it started quite high when we launched, remained fairly sustainable through December, and then sort of dropped off and remained fairly low in the following month there. And although, you know, those numbers aren't super low, we started out really strong, and it's just interesting to call out how we didn't sustain engagement in the way we might hope to in the future, which is why we made a change, like I mentioned earlier, to a quarterly program game. It refreshes your points in your experience on a 3-month basis to try to sustain engagement more consistently over time. Just want to call that out. Also, I highlighted on here 15% mobile app usage. That represents the amount of your members that we have on having downloaded our mobile app. And you'll have just learned that working with Janelle, we're doing some raffle campaigns to get that number up because, you know, we are a mobile-first program. We want your members on our application on the phone as one of their primary outlets for engaging with us. So we're trying to get that 15% up as much as we can here in the fall season, and we can reobserve that here closer to the winter time. But it looks like we're having some success so far. Whoops, I think we can jump back to location. Yep, perfect. We're ready for location analysis, please. Perfect. So similar to the last location slide, this gives us the best 5 and lowest 5 performing locations with engagement. So again, engagement is more of just interaction with the platform versus just being enrolled. Now you're actually engaging. So we have our top 5 performing locations. Example is North Valley High School, Nutrition Services Center, and Pine Middle School. And then again, like I said earlier, once some of the populations get bigger, when we look at retirees and spouses, perhaps we see a little bit less engagement there. What that tells us is that when we consider custom campaigns for well-being, how can we bring some more attention to the retirees and to the spouses? How can we bring them back onto the platform on a sustainable basis? We can move on. Perfect. This is another helpful visual for engagement. So where are your members? Where is your population engaging with our platform? So you can see how we have various colors at the very top. Activity, challenges, form submissions, health engagement, and so on. And so what this visual tells us is month over month, where are we seeing the trends with engagement? So if we look at the purple on the left-hand side, September, October, November, we're seeing a lot more health engagement. So what that is the completion of the health assessment and the completion of a biometric screening, for example. So it would make sense that it's there after launch and during your screening season. If we look at the red as a visual as well, that's when we hold our STEPS challenges and other challenges. So we had some positive engagement in November, December, January, around the time we had that holiday habit challenge. And then also in April and May, we had another STEPS challenge in the wake of some of the more intense COVID experience. So it was nice to get some activity and engagement with a challenge during that time of year. One other call out I'd like to make is, you know, we didn't have as many custom campaigns around sleep, for example, this past year, but there was some natural interest. If you look at the bottom of this visual in the blue, the lighter blue color, just a growth in interest and engagement with sleep-related activities. I interpret that to mean that, you know, without even having communications and as many rewardable actions promoted, there's still a lot of interest in sleep health in your population, just as an example, something to take away from this slide. And we can move on. Perfect. So this is our external programs dashboard. So this gives us a little more insight as to where, when we house your benefits in your programs on our platform, which ones are getting the most clicks and referrals, as we call them. So as you can see in the far right-hand corner, 4,613 total referrals on Virgin Pulse, and we can see some trends month over month and center of the slide. So Pretty clear early on in the program year, we had consistent engagement with American Fidelity, the Washoe County Wellness Site, Guardian Dental, and so on. Engagement with that program, those programs dipped down up until April, May, at which point we have a spark and some interest around some of the Virgin Pulse programs that we were able to offer Washoe County as part of our support for COVID initiatives. So we had, for example, Purple Mequilibrium, that's a stress management partner that we saw a lot of interest in. And then we had in orange, the active cardio relaxation classes for COVID-19. So I'm not sure if anyone on the phone today had a chance to engage with those, but we did see generally some good engagement there. And then on the very end, I just want to mention we have your top 5 performing programs as far as referrals. And before I conclude this slide, I want to mention that we do have the control and the ability to promote some of these at a certain time of the year versus others. So really being creative and strategic in the way that we serve up these programs to your members on a quarterly, yearly basis, and so on. Perfect. Here we have just a helpful visual for those of you who it may be helpful to see is a screenshot from the mobile application of how you might navigate benefits with the Virgin Pulse platform. So you can see there American Fidelity, Grand Rounds. You have a quick snapshot of your health assessment and access to those results as well.
So this kind of goes back to last month in the committee talking about having all of these resources in one area. They are already available on the Virgin Pulse platform. So a member could go in there and just click on any of those and get the information.
And just to add to what Jackie and Shane already said, this is under the programs. So if you're on the app, you know, you go to the menu and you, actually it lives on the homepage. You'll go to programs. And then if you're on the actual website, that's what Shane is going to show next on the presentation. But this is so the committee members can see this is what it would look like on the app when you're there. And then the next slide will show the website. But they have the brief explanation of what they are, and then those are actual links to those resources.
Exactly. You'll hear me say, you know, whether it's tonight or in the future, that part of our mission at Virgin Pulse is to have it really be a home base for health. So definitely the opportunity to navigate benefits is a huge part of that. So we can actually jump to the next slide where you'll see the web version. So if you're on your desktop computer, this is the view that you would have of your programs. Like we said, for Washoe County School District, you can scroll according to topics. As you can see there, energy, focus, and drive are some of our default topics, and sort of, you know, tailor your experience in navigating benefits from that perspective. We can move on. This is one more slide I want to definitely take a moment to chat about on the topic of your programs and benefits, because as I mentioned, in the wake of a lot of what we were hearing from the market with COVID-19 and all the uncertainty and the needs of these, you know, populations and members, we decided to work with various partners of ours to offer up some free support for various different health situations during the month of April. And so what you're seeing here is just some visuals on the level of clicks that we saw. So what you're looking at is engagement with stress relief partners, home physical health and workout videos, financial wellness, nutritional wellness as well. So we served all of these up to your population and saw quite a bit of engagement and clicks. The number one program we saw engagement with was Mequilibrium. So that's a stress relief, stress management partner. And then the other one was also WHIL, W-H-I-L. That's another one of our popular stress relief partners as well. So it's good to see that we saw some engagement with those. And I will mention that I should mention that free service was something that expired after the month of April. So that's no longer live on the platform. But if there's ever opportunities in the future to revisit a specific partner and try to layer them in, we can do that. But just want to call out this was something we did in April of this year. Thank you. So now we get a deeper dive into challenges. So STEPS challenge number 1, this was the U.S. National Parks STEP Challenge. So what we're looking at first and foremost on this slide is 2 different visuals. So one is the activity trends for all of your members on the very top, and the second is activity trends for what we call low active members, so those who are averaging less than 5,000 steps prior to the challenge. And what we have is what were the averages before, during, and after the challenge. So what I like to call attention to here is that for those low active members, we had 3,800-ish steps. And then during the challenge, obviously, it spiked up. And what we'd like to see is after the challenge, we had about 4,800 steps on average afterwards. So the key thing that I want to drive home is that what we're seeing with these challenges and this promotion of activity and social competitive engagement is not only a jump in activity during the challenge, but a sustained level of activity after the challenge also. You'll see in the very bottom left-hand corner, average steps per day, 9,864. I just want to call out that we have a healthy benchmark for steps is about 7,000 steps per day. When you dip below 5,000 steps, like I said, that's when you're considered low active. So to see that we're creeping up on 10,000 steps per day during these challenges is really positive to see. And we can move on to our second steps challenge. So, oops, back one, please. So this is steps challenge number 2. This one was called the Relax, Renew, Refresh challenge. And so here we had 9% participation in the challenge, but I think even more of a real meaningful visual here when it comes to the trends we were seeing before the challenge started and the average steps after the challenge. So if we look at the very bottom, for those who are averaging less than 3,000, almost less than 2,500 steps per day, we were able to get that average up towards 6,900 during the challenge, and it remained in that 5,400 range after the challenge. And I think this is really important because this was, a decision that Janelle and the team made with me to roll out a challenge in the wake of COVID and trying to offer, maybe you're not getting out of the house as much, but maybe you can go for a walk around the block or walk on your treadmill at home or something like that to get people active. So it was really great to see that we had a positive impact during the month of April on that front. And you'll even see that average steps per day on the very bottom left-hand corner was even higher than our previous challenge, coming up on 10,400 steps per day on average. So we hope to keep that trend continuing and just try to jump enrollment up further and further as we get your membership more comfortable with this application. And we can move on to the next slide. Perfect. So this is the personal activity challenge slide. So also as part of the Virgin Pulse app, members have the opportunity to start up their own challenges on their own time, and they can invite friends that they have on the platform to join in. So those can be steps challenges, for example. They can be habit-related challenges, for example. Essentially what we're seeing here is we saw some positive engagement with those self-starter style challenges in this program year. Almost 11,000 steps per day during those personal activity challenges. And then you can see some of the breakdown at the very bottom of which challenges were popular. So there's one day throwdown, that's a single day steps challenge, versus a weekend rumble, the 25%. That's something that's just, Saturday, Sunday steps challenge, for example. So it's just nice to see that we're getting engagement from your population in a way that's not only, it's self-starter, it's social, and that's a really important part of some of the intrinsic motivators that we see with health and wellness. and activity as well. Alrighty, on to some more health information. We're going to get a little more health specific here. So this slide tells us some information about health assessment completion from the Virgin Pulse, what we call our MyPulse health assessment. So we had 94% health assessment completion, which is across our book of business. That's really excellent. That's really, really awesome completion for the HRA. Also, given conversations with the Washoe team, not surprising given the incentive that exists for those members to go in and complete that health assessment. So that was a really important part of, I think, getting your population involved with our app and our program early on, is having that health assessment be just important to the program and easy to engage with. So we had 7,254 completions of the HRA. And you can see a breakdown on the right-hand side of your screen of some of our risk distributions. The biggest thing that really does stand out on this slide is that from a self-reporting standpoint, work stress and stress is something that is considered suboptimal. So while sleep quality is measured, job productivity, activity awareness, nutrition awareness, it's really work stress that we're seeing stands out as suboptimal. Which is definitely something that we see across my book of business as well, and we're trying to support clients in Washoe County in particular with the tools to support those members with stress relief and stress management skills. Now we'll pivot into the biometrics. A lot of the information here that we've gotten from your screenings in the 2019 and 20 program year. So right off the bat, I want to call out 32% is the percentage of members that we have reported biometrics from. Perfect. So we'll start with BMI. There's some helpful visuals. Each of these slides we're about to go through is similar in its format, and there's some helpful visuals for you to understand some of the distribution of risk. So here we can see that your average BMI for your population, again, this is only for the population that reported their biometric screenings to us, so there's definitely a chunk of which we don't have information for, but for those that we do, we're seeing 27.47 as the average BMI. 38% of the population is considered normal BMI, 34% considered overweight, and 28% in the obese category. And there's a bit of a breakdown of male versus female there as well. So you can see the gender distribution is not too different, but definitely some significance in the obesity category for both segments. This is our blood pressure slide. So we're looking at blood pressure distribution across male and female and age profiles as well. So we can see that for your normal blood pressure, we have 42% normal blood pressure, 45% in the pre-hypertension category, and 13% in the hypertension category as well. And then aided by our visual on the right-hand side, we can see that there's a bit more of a risk in the hypertension and pre-hypertension categories for the male population versus female. I will also mention as we walk through these that this level of reporting will evolve with us over time. So we'll be able to inform you some more on year-over-year changes that we're observing. You'll see on the right-hand corner total population change. That's where we'll populate any changes in year-over-year analytics. Obviously, right now we only have this first program year, so we don't have that information to really compare yet. So perfect. Here we are on glucose. So the fasting glucose breakdown, we're looking at 58% of the population considered normal, 40% pre-diabetic, and 2% in the diabetic category for glucose. Perfect. Total cholesterol. So this is a breakdown of cholesterol across your population. We have in this category 75% in the normal breakdown, the normal distribution, we have 20% in the borderline high and 5% in high. On sticking with cholesterol, we have HDL levels to share with you for reporting as well. 38% normal, 48% borderline low, and 14% low. And then to wrap up the cholesterol conversation here, we have the LDL distribution. So we have some information here, 54% normal, 30% moderate, 12% borderline high, 3% high, and then just a marginal 1% or less in the very high category. And then my last biometric slide for you today is triglycerides. So we're looking at 80% in the normal category, 11% in the borderline high category, and then 9% in the high category. So as I wrap up this presentation, I've got a few slides just to summarize what we've discussed here. This slide is around member health. So as we've just looked at, BMI does stand out as a risk area amongst the biometrics data, for the validated data that we have. Also, as I mentioned, for the HRA and self-reported data, we have stress and work-related stress standing out as a risk area. So which begs the question from a wellness standpoint, what are some things we can do from here? Some things we've already done. We have this current steps challenge underway. For example, that's going to be helpful for activity-related engagement, and in theory would help the a BMI as a risk category. But from my perspective, in working with the Washoe Wellness team, we're looking at placing further emphasis on steps challenges and using both intrinsic and extrinsic motivators. So when I say intrinsic, I mean sort of the value-driven action. Maybe it's social, maybe it's competitive, for example. Extrinsic, I'm talking more about that carrot on the stick and that incentive in reaching your rewards and moving through the wellness game that we've designed to earn incentives as a part of engaging with wellness as well. Also to consider is leveraging some of our digital coaching and mental health tools that we have on the platform even further to just increase awareness on those tools that focus on resilience, mental health, and well-being, really just trying to support your population with stress management tools, and really just try to drive some literacy and engagement around those as well. Some other recommendations that I have in mind is, now that we have this program year number 2 deployed and kicked off, we have a new program year to really try to plug and play with some campaigns that are going to support your population even further. So we're talking about Journeys. Virgin Pulse Journeys is essentially our digital coaching function. Where it can be nutrition related, specific, it could be stress and so on. We can get strategic with that. Sleep habits campaign, so we have the ability to serve up sleep related behaviors and habits that could be helpful for your population. We're thinking maybe we do this in the holiday season, in the winter months. Stress and anxiety response campaign, this could be a combination of the journeys and the sleep, and really there's a lot of different things that can go into stress and anxiety, and we have a lot of levers that we can pull on the back end to really drive engagement with those tools. We also have healthy habit challenges. So Janelle had mentioned earlier the fruit is sweet challenge, and so we have a whole catalog of these styles of challenges we can launch on a monthly basis. And if we can really identify which ones are priorities and important for your population, we can hopefully serve up communications and make sure there's awareness around, the habit and then the competitive and social nature of the challenge. And then lastly, just to wrap this up, just ongoing emphasis on holistic health opportunities, because, here at Virgin Pulse, we have, it's not just activity and steps challenges, we have the nutrition piece, stress management, sleep, and so on. We can really come at health and wellness from every pillar and every angle. So I just want to call that out as well. And lastly, I want to touch on a few items that even as we were working on this presentation, and I was working on this presentation, we've already put some things in place to close some of these gaps. So number one, program design refresh that we just launched program year number 2. We've added in a whole suite of new daily triggers. So the platform up in program year number 1 had earning opportunities that were more sort of monthly driven. You know, you visit the platform, you complete your HRA in the fall, and then maybe you don't come back as often because there aren't as many opportunities to earn on a daily basis. What we've done is included these daily earning opportunities, such as track 7,000 steps a day, track 5,000 steps a day, whatever that looks like, track your sleep each night, just ways for your members to come back on a daily basis and earn points towards their wellness incentives, and also be a part of this behavior change framework and revisiting on a daily basis, regular basis. That's where we see the real lifestyle changes. Small habits, over time, leading up to big changes in their health and lifestyle over the long term. Also, just to call out a shift to quarterly gamification. So I spoke to this earlier. Now, every 3 months, we refresh the wellness game. So those points refresh, and therefore we would expect to see more sustained engagement throughout the year. Number 2 on this slide is claims integration. So I know that the Washoe County Wellness team is really excited about this. We're able to integrate with your claims carrier to offer you reporting that goes deep on your claims, obviously, and also with a path towards identifying gaps in care and where we can help you to close those gaps from a wellness standpoint or otherwise. And the ultimate goal really being health outcomes, with the end game of saving you money on your claims, on your health insurance claims, and so on. So we're excited about that. The claims integration process is currently underway. I'd say we're coming up on the finish line for having the entire integration fulfilled, which means that in the coming months here in the winter of 2020 going into 2021, we can begin to share reporting with the team. And that will be, I think, really meaningful to our future insurance committee discussions. Lastly, on this slide, I also want to call out targeted engagement campaigns. So those are some things we already mentioned. We have a mobile app campaign in place, raffle entries to get people on their mobile application, on their phone, and engaging. And then we've also opted into some quarterly enrollment and engagement reminders in the form of emails going to your population, just for that gentle nudge that Virgin Pulse is here for you, and we're ready to take you on your wellness journey here. Wherever you're at on that journey, come join us, and you can earn points, get rewards, and compete socially as well. And that should be it for this presentation, so I'll stop there and welcome any questions.
Are there any questions for Shane?
Eric Diamond, for the record, I do have a question.
Go ahead, Eric.
So I appreciate your report. It's actually extensive. It's really good. I do have a question concerning when you went over your location slide. Obviously, you're able to manipulate a lot of this data. Is it possible by chance to create a slide for engagement or activity by department? So for instance, is it our teachers we need to focus on to either download or engage? Is it our officers we need to engage? Is it our housekeeping staff and whatnot? Is that possible?
From my conversations with Janelle and Jackie, what we can report on is down to what you share with us on the eligibility file. So Janelle, I'll turn that to you. I'm pretty confident with what segments he's mentioned that we can offer reporting on that.
Janelle Dye for the record. So I don't believe we'd be able to report on like job title. Currently it's by location, but we do like department wise, like school police is on there. I'm not sure if you saw that. But so department wise we can. And that's still something that we're really diving into to see what we can and can't do. But I believe at this time we cannot do it by position or like job title.
Okay, and my point, and I understand that there's a degree of anonymity that we want to maintain. Obviously, some of this information is private, and I understand that. But for instance, like I did see that school police was a phylum that was underneath there, and I just want to, obviously I have a bias towards my officers, but I'd like to make sure that our engagement is high. If I'd like to see what the reporting is, and seeing it by location is helpful, but I only have a singular officer at that location, so I don't know if that officer is engaged or not. So if it is at all possible to do it by location, or I'm sorry, by a department would be useful, or by some metric by that measure.
What we can do is revisit what's being shared on the eligibility file to offer, aside from just top 5, low 5, what's the breakdown look like? And then part of what my follow-up can be with the team is the level of reporting we can offer that goes beyond just top 5 and low 5, and maybe that'll be meaningful for future discussions as well.
And then I'm sorry, this is Rachel Drake, for the record. Is this information going to the sites as well, to the wellness advisors there, or?
So Janelle Dye, for the record, not yet. That's something I think once we really sort of have, especially kind of like year over year comparison, and we can like look at some growth, we can really look at what some sites maybe need a little bit more outreach. So not currently. I feel like we're still a little new and still kind of looking at the data. But yeah, definitely something we could maybe share with the sites that have low engagement or low enrollment in the future.
Thank you.
And just to chime in, Eric, I think I understand what you're trying to get at. I do believe, so how everyone is categorized is the location that you are assigned to. And so all school police officers, even though you might be assigned to specific schools, your ultimate assignment is school police. So I believe all of the officers are included under school police.
Excellent. I appreciate the clarification. If there's some way I can get to that data too, just so that way I can make sure that we're represented and engaged, or if I need to put more effort there, then I can. And I'm sure similar information might be useful to the other representation at the table, if it be teachers or housekeeping and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'll make one note. Oh, go ahead, Jackie.
This is Robert Munson, for the record. I just saw that transportation was broken out too. So I think that's a site, like, a school is a site, but transportation was a site. So I think it would be good to start there, maybe eventually have it broken down by, certified and classified and, that kind of thing. But really, I think, if you want to engage people, in my opinion, in competitions and things like that, where they're located and with the people that they're working with is one way to motivate them to say, hey, let's get a team together. I actually got a text about joining a walking team. I didn't do it because my Fitbit broke, but certainly I think that's one great way to get people engaged. And if they're all working together, that's a good way to do it.
I want to call out also how the way our reporting works and our security compliance works is that if there is a segment or a location in this case that is less than 20 persons as a part of that segment, we can't report out on that. So where school police might have been represented on the lower scale in this instance of engagement, there could be a segment that is, just shy of 20 persons that has lesser engagement. We just can't report out on that small sample size of the population. Just wanted to make that point in case it helps us to interpret some of this information. And lastly, while we measure top 5 and low 5 engagement, being on the lower scale doesn't necessarily mean you have bad engagement. It's just of the lesser of the entire pool that we're examining here, because you do have, generally good, great enrollment and generally good engagement as well. But I think that we want to definitely bring attention to engagement and driving that further up in 2021. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you, Shane. We really appreciate it. That was a great report.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. It's you 3 hours ahead, so it's getting late.
I appreciate that. Thanks very much. Take care.
You too. Okay, item 2.07, discussion of the Washoe County School District ComSite guidance resources, participation from the retiree population, and a possible action to exclude benefit for retirees to participate in the services offered through guidance resources for possible action.
Yes, so I wanted to circle back to the presentation to the committee from last month and the recommendation from ComPsych and also the recommendation from the wellness program and risk management to remove the retiree population from the benefit that is offered through ComPsych. We added the retirees to that benefit in 2016. So this is the 5th year. And during those 5 years, we have paid a premium of between $50,000 and $60,000 to have only around 9 to 10 people engaged. Not only have we paid that premium, or the wellness program has paid that premium to ComPsych, but also we have sent out mailers to the retirees because that is how we have to communicate with a lot of the retiree population. We try to do emails when we do have the email available, but a lot of times we don't for many of our retirees. So we do have to spend the money on mailers. And so we have done that as well on numerous occasions. And we're still seeing little to no engagement. I know it was brought up last time as well. If that was allowed in the contract, it is allowed in the contract. And so if the committee elected to do that, it would be the recommendation to do it effective January 1st.
Eric Diamond, for the record, I appreciate the update on that. Did we have any word either put in, or do we have anyone present to speak for retirees or speak on that comment?
Our retiree representative is Gordon Salas. Gordon, are you still present? You're muted if you are. It's dinner time, maybe.
I don't see him on the list anymore.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
He shows muted still, so.
Oh, yep, there he is.
Yeah. Gordon, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, now we can. Yes.
Okay. I do not know why it would not talk. I was trying to say something, but okay. Thank you for allowing me to participate in this to some degree, at least. I have spoken to several retirees after reading the minutes from last month's meeting, and to their understanding, they've not received anything. And I'm not disputing what Jackie has said, or that it has not been, there hasn't been an attempt to contact them. I'm racking my mind to think of, well, then how do we bridge that lack of communication that I'm getting from the retirees that say they didn't realize that such a program existed? And I don't know. I kind of want to rely on the committee to ask them what we need to do or what we could do in regards to allowing to make sure that we haven't eliminated them prematurely. I agree that from a fiscal standpoint, it makes no sense to spend that kind of money, the money that you've spoken of, for a program that's not being utilized. I totally agree with that. But I also want to look out for the benefit of the retirees to make sure that if they were aware of it, if they would use it. So other than getting the numbers for those retirees or contact information myself and trying to reach out to them and get a consensus that, yeah, we really wouldn't use it even if it was available to us, or yes, we would use it if we knew it existed.
Now, guys, for the record. Oh,
no, go ahead, Janelle. Go ahead.
I just want to just give a little update on the communication. I personally was not working for the district when the benefit was offered to retirees, but I do know there was a big push when they were first added to the group. Now, maybe some people weren't retired and don't remember that, but there was a big push when we initially rolled it out to the retiree population. And we do a big mailer, a colorful mailer. We actually even, market it specifically for retirees. There's a separate one for retirees that, hopefully speaks to them. Unfortunately, maybe they're just not opening it or not reading it, but we do send that out every year. It goes to every member, so the retirees are included. And I just want to share some numbers here, just to kind of paint a picture. I know we've talked about it, but the 2019 total was $11,324.61. And we have retirees who reported using the service. And so that breaks down to $5,662.30 per person for the program. And I agree, we don't want to take something away if they don't know it's there. But like Jackie mentioned, this is year 5. We do the reach out that we can, within our means. And I just am not sure it makes sense to continue on spending that amount of money, for just a little amount of utilization. So I just wanted to kind of add.
And as I said, not only that, but the cost of communicating with the retirees is quite expensive. We do have printing costs, we have mailing costs, so that adds a few more $1,000s on top of it, and the time of staff as well to send these kind of communications out. So,
Robert Munson, for the record, I was here when we added this, and I know Danny Kitts was a retiree representative, and there was a big push way back then. I think Gonzalo was with us to get this information out, and I know every year it goes out. But I'll be honest with you, active members, even people who are employed right now with the district, if I say to them, do you know about this benefit? Most of them don't. It's not until they need they need a counseling situation, something happens, that even though they get the flyers, I get the flyer every year and I put it up on my little bulletin board. But I think that most people probably just toss it because it's not something they need that's relevant right in the moment. But I remember when we added it, we were thinking, oh, okay, this would be great to do. But I think that we're 5 years in, and if people don't know about it 5 years in with mailers and with other things going out from the district, I'm not sure that the cost is worth. I mean, if only you only have a few people benefiting from it each year, it's just not sustainable, I don't think.
Okay, Gordon Saltis for the record. I agree completely. And just because we don't remember as a retiree that this program is available doesn't mean that we would use it even if we did know it. So I agree with the fact that if the retirees aren't using it, then it isn't worth the money that we're using to fund it. That's how I feel about it. In my discussion with other retirees about this issue, even though they didn't know about it, I would ask them, well, if you did, what do you think over the last recent years that you've been retired, you would have used it? Well, I don't really think I would have, is the answer I'm getting. So perhaps I'm surrendering an opportunity for them to use it by saying this, but I agree. From a fiscal standpoint, it makes little sense to keep devoting tens of thousands of dollars to a program that isn't utilized.
Eric Diamond, for the record, I do have a statement on that I was present for the last meeting, and our representative from CompPsych stated that they would never move or request or verify their status. So, and also went as far as to say that they would even honor our contract for retirees who came after we removed that stipulation. Now, out of technicality, of course, they wouldn't be covered, but from our own representative, they said that they would never confirm their status with the school district, nor would they, stated they would honor, having our retirees approach them, even if this were to be removed.
And
Well,
they,
that-
and,
Go ahead.
and he did say that, but I think we have to be prepared that I don't know exactly if Jonah can speak for all of CompPsych, and that could be the current status, but that could also change. So we would just need to be aware of that also.
Is there a way that we could determine whether CompPsych would have that same attitude?
I think,
I think if there was a lot of engagement, they might start making us be more accountable for that, and then that's when it might become an issue. But right now, I think if we were to remove the retirees and a retiree were to call, especially the limited engagement that we have right now of 1 to 2 people a year, there's every possibility that they might be able to obtain services still.
because CompPsych basically said that they don't verify, typically the employment or verify that kind of stuff. And so if I call up and say, well, I'm a teacher, because I was a teacher and I'm retired, they're going to just assume that I'm a teacher. But with only a couple of people a year engaging, I don't think that would be a red flag. Now, if all of a sudden there was a huge increase, it might be. And if there was a huge increase or a demand, or if retirees were coming to us saying, hey, we want this benefit back, there's nothing keeping us from doing what we did 5 or so years ago and saying, let's add the retirees back into this as a benefit. I think that it's something we could do, certainly in the future if there was a demand. But like I said, we've given this 5 years, and Danny Kipps really pushed it. There were walks, there was information going out, there were retiree walks where that information went out, and it just hasn't really materialized.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
This is Diane Lyon for the record. So if you're saying that we should do this by January 1st, would we have to take a vote on it tonight? Or how would that work?
Yes, we would be looking for a vote tonight. It was presented last month, so we would hope for a vote tonight because this will be the last meeting of this year.
Right. Okay, thank you.
And Gordon Solomons for the record, out of curiosity, how many of our thousands of employees of the Washoe County School District are using this program? A percentage, just off the top of your head, if you have it.
That was in the presentation last month.
Yeah, we had the presentation last time, the last insurance committee meeting that had all of those statistics and the full report on that. I don't have that in front of me at the moment, but it is significantly more than 2 per year.
Okay, understanding that, but from a standpoint of statistics or percentages, perhaps there aren't as many employees using it statistically as there are in comparison to the retirees. I doubt that's the case, but nonetheless, if we're paying for a service that's being little utilized through the employee process, let alone the retirees, I don't see where CompPsych has a loss, even if they were to service the retirees, because we're paying for 8,000 plus or 6,000 plus employees, aren't we?
Correct. I mean, there is a significant more engagement from the active population. So there is a greater need for it. The EAP services are utilized a lot more from the active population, and the district provides that as a benefit for our active population. One of the reasons the retirees were never included in this before is because the retirees have to pay for their own benefits. So it was the decision of this committee to add them and pay for that benefit when typically the retirees have to pay for their own benefits. So this is a benefit that they are getting that normally they would have to pay for.
Okay, thank you. I didn't that because that was going to be my next question. Does this give us a reduction, the retirees a reduction in cost of their benefit package? But you're saying no.
No.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so this is an action item for possible action. If anyone wants to come forward with a motion, or not.
For the record, Jeff Bazzo, I move to exclude the benefit for retirees to participate in the services offered through guidance resources.
I'd like to
Eric
second that
Diamond, I'll
motion.
second.
Okay, so it's been moved by Jeff Bazzo and seconded by Eric Diamond and Diane Lyons that we remove the ComPsych resources offered to retirees. Any discussion? Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion passes. Closing items. 3.01 public comment. I don't believe we had any public comments submitted today.
Did we need to approve the minutes from the last
Yes.
meeting?
2.08, Robert.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get ahead of myself here. 2.08, approval of the minutes from the September 24th, 2020 meeting of the Group Insurance Committee. This is for possible action. I hope everybody got them and had a chance to read through them. And then we just need a motion when people have.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the September 21st meeting.
Gordon Solis, for the record, I second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved by Diane Lyons and seconded by Gordon Solis to accept the to approve the minutes from the September 20. Was it 29th?
Oh, was it 29th? I'm sorry.
24th.
Yeah.
24th.
Okay, because the minutes say 29th on them. Just want to, that might be something we want to change on there. The 24th meeting minutes of the Group Insurance Committee. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Okay, so we've adopted the minutes and as amended.
And Robert, I would
Yeah.
just like to point out for the vote on item 2.07 and 2.08 that Tony McMillan was not present for those votes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so 3.01 public comment. I don't believe there was any public comment submitted to the committee. 3.02 announcement of the next meeting is January 28th, 2021. And I guess it's time to adjourn. So this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
everyone.
You're doing a great job.